I'm Madison, and I'm new to the Mystic Journey Bookstore. I was one of the newer readers, but I have a very, very long history of metaphysics and readings, and I have a certain affinity towards spirituality, which I've had since I was a little girl. So to start, I guess maybe I should tell you a little bit about my history. I am from the East Coast. I was born in Philadelphia. My parents were as grounded as they get. My dad was an engineer. My mom was a hygienist. And here I was, always delving into mysticism and finding this magical world within this very concrete paradigm. And to be quite honest, I didn't discover the tarot until I was already in my 20s. But I still lived within this very magical world where I received messages a lot. And I also had a connection to the divine that most people didn't understand. Actually, nobody understood it. So it was, I certainly, as a reader, I think I have a lot of empathy for people that are finding their way, because I had to find my way. And I did. I was introduced to the tarot by a good friend. And then around the age of my mid-20s or so, I went and I lived in Prague, and I started doing readings there. And the readings were kind of, at that point, just a hobby and a way for me to support myself, and it grew and grew and grew. And when I came back here, I started working at another store in the Valley, and I started doing readings there. And then that kind of launched me into corporate events and celebrity parties and a much broader world of helping other people. I'm very happy to be at the store because at every party I've done, people tend to say to me, "Where can I find you? Are you reading out of a place?" And now that I feel like I found a home at the Mystic Journey, I have a place to bring people into, which is really great. And it's nice to be a part of this. So basically, the way I work, and I think that this is different than many other readers, is I tend to be very question-based. Because of my practical background in medicine, because of my practical family environment, I tend to be very concrete and methodical about my readings. So people come to me and it's almost like a conversation. I like to get to know the people I'm reading, even if it's just for 15 minutes or 5 minutes. And we usually have like a brief chat. They tell me what's going on in their life, or they tell me what they're worried about, because the reading works really well if there's a specific part of your life that you have a little stress about, or you need a little clarity about. I don't know that readings, for me at least, are not so much about picking up first letters of the names of people that have parted, unless you ask me about that. Readings are about helping you find a tool to get from point A to point B, or C, or D, or E. I think what happens in life is that we're all in this matrix and we have very little information. We have very little information about our past lives. We only begin to find out who we are maybe a couple of decades in. Some of us are very lucky. If you're lucky enough to know who you are from the moment you're born and you didn't have that kind of eroded out of you, where some people were told that there's somebody that, steered in a way that might not be them. But if you were really kind of blessed to have the support, that's great. But many of us are kind of finding our way, and the readings can really, really help with that kind of journey. Oftentimes, without readings, I feel that people tend to stay stuck more easily. I think that readings help provide the key or the answer, or even if it's just the confirmation to get you to the next level. So what I believe, and the world that I live in, is that the universe is constantly trying to show us direction. And I think that if we provide a place for that and a medium for that, then the messages will come through, because the messages are supposed to be given to us. This is a very dense environment, and the dimension that we live in this world has certain laws of physics that prevents messages from coming through unless you have a way to do that. So I feel very blessed. I have a great relationship with the tarot. I have a great relationship with my guides. And again, it's almost like a conversational piece in terms of, hearing and asking questions and getting confirmation and doing it again and again and again until those answers are clear. The other thing that I do is interpersonal astrology, which basically, although I don't define myself as an astrologer because I don't do the progressions or the solar returns, you can basically see the connection between people based on astrology, and you can also see why people gravitate towards the people that they do, or what kind of karmic issues that they're working out. I also, for parties, I've done everything from face readings to lipstick readings. For Vanity Fair, I've done palmistry, and handwriting analysis for a Fortune 500 company. So I think that no matter what medium you pick, the important thing is that you're asking the right questions so that the messages can come through. And I think that's really where the help and the guidance is. I just wanted to close on one message if I can. And this is just something that I guess is a thread through my life. And I really believe that each person has a responsibility to themselves to lead their fullest life in their most suited potential possible. Because as you get to your potential and you launch your truest self, then you're helping the world and you're helping that many people around you. By the same example, if somebody is a little bit more toxic or not living their potential or kind of cramped or in any way their highest self or who they are is dimmed, then they go on to create more of that. It's funny because energy that's put into motion stays in motion. And that's sort of what happens in each direction, because nothing is really good or bad, it just is. So in every direction that we take, it just becomes exponential. So that's why I feel that there's such a sense of responsibility for me to help others the way I feel that my life has gone. I also wanted to say one last thing, and that's, somebody said this to me, and I know that it's been said, and I'm not the first person to say it, but one century's superstition becomes the next century's science. And I believe that we're going to have a science to explain why the tarot works. I've been asked many times, well, how does this work? How did you get those answers? Oh my God, it's reflecting me and what's going on in my life. I'd be lying if I said I knew how it worked. I don't, but I'm a translator, and I feel fortunate that I know how to do it. It's really almost like a basic art form combined with intuition and experience. And I do believe that in coming centuries, we're going to have a lot better handle on, maybe it's the laws of randomness, because there's a certain amount of shuffling and chaos that goes into it, combined with the energy behind questions, and that thoughts are energy, and somehow they move the cards. It's fascinating. But the other thing is, sometimes we don't need to know how something works in order to have it work. And that's the good thing. So thank you again for visiting our website. There's definitely somebody here to help. We all do different things, and I wish you luck on your journey.